E.W. Jackson. And, he ran for lieutenant governor in 2013. E.W., great to have you with us, sir.
Hey, John, good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
E.W., always a pleasure. I know you've got something to say with your organization on this omnibus bill that just passed. I know you were saying on one of the shows earlier today, I saw that you thought that many Republicans felt betrayed. You want to share your thoughts on that with our audience, sir?
Yeah, the crummy omnibus bill. Look, one thing is clear. It ought to be clear to every conservative that we cannot rely on Republican leadership to do the right thing, that they're going to do what is politically expedient, and often they're going to violate conservative principle. So, look, what I said to my supporters is there are two fundamental things they could have done. They could have certainly blocked or made difficult the funding of this amnesty executive order. They could have just given the president fits over that. They chose not to do that, unfortunately. And they certainly could have said, look, we're going to rein in spending. We're simply not going to allow you to just keep spending money like there's no tomorrow. And they failed to do that as well. So basically, what we've got is complete surrender. This president's going to be able to do pretty much whatever he wants to do, it seems, if we have to rely on the Republican leadership in the House or the Senate, pretty much what he wants to do over the next couple of years.
There's a lot of people, E.W. Jackson, that are very frustrated. Our callers and listeners that engage with us, we've had about now 100 callers or listeners that have been upset by the passage of the omnibus bill, and it's on two sides of the aisle. We're yet to find somebody to say it was a good idea. We're just trying to find somebody that tunes into our show to find that. But what happens now?
Well, look, people like Ted Cruz and some of the people in the House, like Louis Gohmert and some of these other folks who really are there, John, because they have a set of convictions, they're just going to have to make up their minds to fight no matter what. Just continue to sound the alarm. I think what we've got to do is move a bunch of Republicans away from this sort of establishment, go along to get along mentality into a mentality that says, look, we as Republicans have convictions. People expect us to work those convictions through. Sure, we can work with others. We can compromise in terms of strategy. We can compromise in terms of timing, but we don't compromise our principles. And I think if we'll do that, we'll win eventually. But what we can't do is just surrender and say, well, we're not going to win, so let's just go along with it. We'll never restore our country that way.
What do you think of some of these rioters that were in there? E.W. Jackson, I don't think there's one of them that had they gone to a floor vote as an amendment that a majority of Congress, of House members or senators, whatever, put their name on it, from the Blue Cross Blue Shield bailout to the bank derivatives bailout to, this thing goes on. No defunding of amnesty. Nobody would have put their name on any of this stuff. And yet it all gets packaged in the dark of night. Isn't there something the matter with the whole system, sir?
Yeah, what happened to the promise that we were going to get 3 days, the American people were going to get 3 days to review it. Now, we got what was a 1,900-page monstrosity, a Christmas tree. Nobody really knows what's in the thing. I guess you got to pass it in order to find out what's in it. It's the same old story. And I'll tell you something, John. I'll make this prediction. If Republicans do not demonstrate that they have a different governing philosophy and that they're going to try to lead this country to fiscal responsibility, they're going to lead to this country toward deregulating so that small businesses particularly have an opportunity to really compete in this economy, that's going to unleash our energy productivity. They're going to fight this president and his overreach, his unconstitutional overreach. I predict that all of these gains that we just saw in 2014 will evaporate.
Well, and E.W. Jackson, that is one of the things that have our listeners frustrated, is that we just had this historic, landmark, conservative winning election where we gained 9 seats in the U.S. Senate now after Louisiana. We gained 13 seats in the House. Many of these people, what you would call movement conservatives. So there was an expectation that was maybe higher than it's been in the past. But then you see what goes down, and a lot of people are calling into our show and saying, you know what, I'm just done with the whole thing. I'm done handing out flyers. I'm done getting involved in the process because at the end of the day, I can't change it. How do you respond to that?
Boy, John, there's nothing I hate hearing more. That is the death knell of our country. Everywhere I go, I tell people this. You know, that guy lying in a foxhole or in a sand dune somewhere, fighting for our freedom, fighting to stop terrorism, that guy who's lost a limb, suffered traumatic brain injury, he didn't give up on us. The thousands, the hundreds of thousands, the millions over the history of our country who have surrendered their lives in order to protect our freedom, they didn't give up. We can't give up. Look, we didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to climb out of this overnight. But my goodness gracious, I've said this everywhere I go, and I hope everybody has this attitude. If I have to be the last one standing for that Constitution, for limited government, for the principles which this country was built on, then I'll be the last one until I breathe my dying breath. And everybody, every single American ought to have that attitude. Don't ever come to me and tell me you're thinking about giving up, because you're going to get some good preaching.
Bishop Jackson, what is the blueprint for conservatives going forward? I'll give one of the congressmen, and there were 6 of them in Virginia that voted in favor of the Cromnibus bill, 2nd District Republican Scott Ridgel. He was on our show on Monday. And what he basically said is, look, there was a lot of good things in this bill. Obviously, there were some bad, but there were good things. You know, we got we got money cut out of the EPA, money cut out of IRS. We got the money we needed back for military spending, but kind of like you've got to compromise. And he said passing a continuing resolution wouldn't have accomplished anything because we would have been funding the government at the same levels for 90 days. It would have done nothing to defund amnesty. We just need to get on with it. How do you respond to that?
I say you've got to get off the defensive and get on the offensive. And right now we're on the defensive. Right now we're playing. Let's try to survive. That's not a victorious mindset. Our mindset has got to be, how do we win? How do we put the president on the defensive? How do we put these liberals on the defensive? And I would suggest giving them pretty much everything they wanted. The far left objected a little bit, but, I mean, you know, they were kind of nitpicking and grandstanding. They got pretty much what they wanted, and that doesn't give our people anything to cheer about or to be glad about. And look, Scott Ridgel, respect the man, very accomplished businessman, and all of those who voted for it, I'm sure that they found justification, some of that justification coming, no doubt, from John Boehner and the pressure that he put on his people. But the reality is, if you lose the base, you've lost it all. And they're in danger of losing the base.
E.W. Jackson, tell you, Bishop, you're right. I had a column I put up today on Bearing Drift. I've never seen a reaction like this. I've been on the air in Virginia now for 36 months. That's a long time to be on 4 hours a day statewide in many of our networks. There's a lot of crazy things that have happened. I've never seen a reaction like I've seen in the past 3 days since this went down, and I think you hit it on the head. People are just mad as hell, and this is a text I just got from Delegate Scott Taylor in Virginia Beach. He says, E.W. Jackson, great words. We control both damn houses. I can say that on the air. He says it's time to go on the offensive. We stay in defensive position. We lose. So you got a fan there in Scott Taylor.
Well, and listen, Scott Taylor is a former Navy SEAL, would certainly know what it means to be on the offense rather than defense. Look, we've got a country that is in meltdown right now. We're having grave difficulties economically, no matter how well the stock market seems to be doing. Mm-hmm. We've still got grave difficulties. We've got high unemployment. We've got low labor rate participation. We're struggling in terms of the regulatory burden on small businesses. So business formation is down. That's why we've got so much cash being held. I mean, we've got the terrorism issue. We've got the immigration issue. We've got education, which is we've made no progress on that whatsoever. We've got serious problems. The Republican Party needs to put forth a vision to which people can rally and say, now, this is who we are, this is what we believe, and this is what we're going to fight for. And I think if they do that, people will rally to them. If they keep playing this game of, well, we don't want to rock the boat, and, we got to work things out, and we got to make everybody happy, we're going to end up being, look, the demographics do not portend well for the Republican Party. So we better figure out a way to communicate to the American people, and that includes the minorities too, that we have a vision that will help every single American.
All right, we're out of time. We want to thank Bishop E.W. Jackson for sharing his thoughts and being with us today. Bishop Jackson, your organization, if people want more information or they want to get involved with the great work that you're doing, where do they go?
They go to standamerica.us, John. That's standamerica.us. I'm also a senior fellow for the Family Research Council. Just want to mention that as well. But, yes, go to my website, standamerica.us. And thanks so much again, John, for having me.
E.W. Jackson's always an honor to have you on, sir. Keep up the good work. I admire your passion.